Hello, my name is VSin, and this is a snapshot of Murasaki Baby. Now this game came out on September the 16th, 2014 for the PlayStation Vita in North America. This game is, on one hand, a platformer. Okay, or rather it's just a side-scrolling puzzle game, not really a platformer. On the other hand, this is... Let me say this first, right off the bat. This game is roughly 2 hours long. Roughly. Most reviewers say 2 hours, some say 2.5. I say 1 hour 45 minutes. That's my time. Also, I've noticed is that I've blown through like the first level and the first half of the second level in less than 30 minutes. So there's also that as well for timing. Second thing I want to note before I even get into the game, rear touch, front touch. This menu is completely driven by the rear touch and front touch, and similarly, the game is driven by the rear touch and front touch. You can tell from that obnoxious finger, yeah, you're supposed to move this thing around, yay, and hand it to the kid. The kid, with the mouth on her head. So right now I'm about halfway through the second level. I just got to this point so that there would be something more interesting to play than the intro stage, because the intro stage is really fucking boring. Essentially, let's go through this together. And before anyone says spoilers, I think that this story doesn't work without the context of playing through the whole thing. Which I would say is actually a fault. But never mind, let's get through the gameplay first. So here's the Murasaki Baby. Basic controls. Tap anywhere near her, and she will just automatically run to it. You can see I'm like, tugging her fast. You can also just tap her hand. Don't tap her hand, just tap in front of her, then drag. And then she'll move. The other thing you can control is the balloon. As mentioned earlier, you can move the balloon this way and that. If you pull it too far, it'll immediately try to snap back to her. Those are the front touch controls. The rear touch controls, swipe the rear touchpad. In this case, I have 3 different powers unlocked. I'm just going to show you the yellow power. You do a tap action on the rear touch, and a thing will happen. In this case, yay, the TV screen turns on and whatnot. Also, some environments have different factors. For example, this dark environment, drag her along and it'll create a platform there. And you can actually kill her if you just change the background right now. Get her along. And drag her along here. Change this again. Change this again. You also swipe across the baby to change the direction of the camera. Doesn't really do too much in most situations, but still. See here, so drag her along. Get her on the platform. Front touch. Come on. There we go. Swipe across. And this platform falls apart. No, wait, actually this doesn't fall apart. What happens is you're supposed to then change to yellow. Cause him to stomp. Change back, and she falls on the lower platform. And that's just an example of some of the simple problem solving that you can do in this game. Well, here's the next thing. Essentially, because this is basically how most of the game runs. And to me, the gameplay is actually pretty damn solid. Like, it takes full advantage of the front and rear touch screens. There is a puzzle right at on the very last gameplay level, because there's also an epilogue, but the last gameplay level, there is a section where you have to use the gyroscope as well. I mean, it does a very good job of gameplay, in my opinion. Here, switch back to yellow, stomp this out of the way, switch to dark. There's also these switches, which you have to drag the balloon into, like so. And you can, something changes. Yay. And that is how most of the gameplay runs. Okay, great. Gameplay. But the thing is that, well, this game only lasts 2 hours. I'm just going to say 2 hours because I like round numbers. This game only lasts 2 hours. So then you have to ask, is this gameplay good enough? Is that enough to justify 2 hours on its own? My opinion, no. This gameplay alone would be great in a longer game. But in such a short game, the gameplay is not enough to hold it together all on its own. But then, where does the rest of the game come from? Well, clearly here, the rest of the game is coming from... Let me just quickly get this puzzle done properly. The rest of the game is coming from the story, of course. That is what all these 2 hour long games try to do. They justify their 2 hour existence and regular price tag with long story with some sort of interesting story. In this case, it's the story of the baby. I'm trying to find her mother. That's what the story is. In this case, that's what the story is. Baby trying to find her mother goes through 4 adventures, 4 specifically. As go through those things, goes through all these different environments and helps 4 different people out. Technically 5, but that's a spoiler. Here, in this case, you have to quickly drag her along or it's insta-death. Quickly drag her along. The monster is about to catch us. Help. Also, the creepy-ass lip eyes in the background. And then, of course, the TV spits us back out the other side. Let me just play through this one first. It's funny, because the kid actually notices who you are here. In this case, you're supposed to grab onto here, and then everyone goes flying. And then, congratulations, you saved the Afro boy. And that's the level. So, that is basically a taste of mid-game gameplay. To me, that's fairly representative of how the rest of the game runs. I would love to show you the 4th level, but that would be spoilers galore. So here's the next thing, the story. Because I've been talking about it, but never actually talked about it. How does the story actually go? Because the story is conveyed through all the images in the background, essentially. Like, for example, the imagery of all those broken eggshells that you can see in the background. And the various different things like, oh, it symbolizes this, symbolizes that. It's all about the imagery, because you can tell from that section there, the voiceover is gobbledygook. Plus the word mommy. So, I'm just going to sit here and talk about the story now. Or, actually, I'm just going to spoil the ending right now. So let me come to a conclusion before I even spoil the ending. Would I recommend this game? Not at $15. Okay? Not at $15. I don't think they do enough. I get the idea, but I don't think they do enough. Here's the thing. So, super spoilers. The ending. I'll have to describe it to you verbally because it's about an hour's worth of gameplay past this point, and I can't load a quick save because this game literally doesn't have a menu of any sort. As in, select and start don't even do anything. Like, the only menu, this is the only way to quit right now. You press the PS button and it gets out of the game, and then you turn it off, turn it back on. So, the end segment is this. You go through 4 worlds, okay? Then what you do is you get into the end segment and you walk past 4 different doors. The doors correspond to the 4 different worlds that you visited, the people that you've helped. And they open the door and say, hello, thank you very much. Do a thing, shows that they learned a lesson or changed their lives or something like that. And then they say, go right. All 4 of them say, go right, go right, go right, go right. So, Murasaki baby goes to the right. As she goes to the right, the screen darkens, and darkness closes in on her. She becomes scared. She advances through the darkness, but then she becomes scared. What happens then is that from the corner of on the right side of the screen, you see a door open. You can tell it's a door because the door motif throughout the entire game, as well as it's a darkness opening into a light area. That was creepy. Anyways. So it's darkness opening into a light area. She inches towards the door, and then stops, thinks, then turns to the camera, and then says, Mommy! That's the ending. Okay? Now you've, hopefully, just by my description, you've understood what the ending is. Basically, she goes through all her adventures, she's about to enter her 5th door, but then stops, thinks, oh wait, my mommy is there. My mommy has been helping me this whole time, sort of idea. But has your mommy been helping you this entire time, Murasaki baby? Let's see. Because here's the thing. What are these different mechanics? I didn't get to show you the first level because I can't physically roll back without deleting all my progress, and I wanted to show you something better than the first level puzzles. But the first level, first mechanic, what is the first thing you do? You scare the kid. That is the very, very, very first gimmick mechanic in the game. You scare the kid. In the process, you're actually supposed to scare the tentacle face as well as any monsters and stuff, but you scare the kid. Like, that's the first mechanic. Other mechanics include, like, for example, on the 3rd level, one of the mechanic is one that turns the balloon heart into a rock. Another mechanic on that same level is one that freezes everything over, including freezing the child, freezing the balloon, and eventually popping it. Like, half of the mechanics torture the child. I thought this was Murasaki Baby, not Interactive Buddy. And so half of these actions are basically torturing the child to get to the next objective. And then you want me to then say, "Aw, that's my baby." Like, what? This is a complete disconnect, in my opinion. Like, why would I care about the kid that I just spent the entire game dragging around and practically torturing? Oh, wait, sorry. This is the 3rd level, right? Yep, this is where the stone heart mechanic is. So I should be able to get to show you this. Also, some parts of the environment can be interacted with by touching them. In this case, I can lift his head up. Get past him, baby. Ah. There we go. Whoops. Wow, really? Okay. Stupid hitbox. Let's get to the first bubble, I think. Whoa, crap. I never get that right. Just grab on the balloon. Don't go anywhere, baby. There we go. I'll show you the imagery, because this particular level has a lot of imagery like this, and the ending section of this is creepy as fuck, and makes you feel like, well, I did nothing but send her further to her doom, and then she fell and then got scared shitless, and it was like, well, what? Also, yeah, so this is the imagery of a guy holding a balloon who's stuck in a tree, and I popped the balloon. When popping your kid's balloon means that your kid gets freaked out and can't do anything. And then this particular gimmick, if I just drag her over a little bit, is... What? That's the gimmick. It turns the kid's balloon into stone. I mean... What is the imagery you're looking for here? Remember, because you're supposed to be the parent, you're supposed to be the person who is doing these things to the kid, right? So I am intentionally turning her heart into stone. And the next mechanic in this level is I'm intentionally freezing her heart, and by freezing it so much, I break it. And then she turns to the player and says, "Mommy? I'm sorry, but what is your message here?" The entire game is full of these conflicting messages. And never mind the fact that the aesthetic of the game runs directly contrary to the player's connection as a parent. Because, like, this kid is creepy. The world is creepy. Everything around here is creepy. I mean, I thought that the Afro dude was pretty cool, but this is creepy. Or at least I'm pretty damn sure it's supposed to be creepy. And why do I then care about this creepy kid who I've spent much of the game torturing, and who I have otherwise been basically... Everyone knows escort quests, right? It just... The gameplay runs directly contrary to any attempt it makes at a story. Like, if maybe the graphics were more cutesy, for example, there would be a better argument here. But the graphics are not cutesy. They're creepy. The audio is creepy. It's unnerving. Like, so I'm supposed to care about the kid now? Again, basically as a summary, the game is, for the story, the game is trying to make you care about the Murasaki baby, but all of the mechanics work against your ability to care about the kid. So unless the moral of the story is that you are a terrible person, I don't know what they're actually trying to accomplish here. Now, maybe someone smarter than me can come up with a smarter interpretation. Okay? But from what I'm seeing here, this is TLDR, a game with really good gameplay and a story that contradicts itself. So, would I recommend this game? Not really. I would wait for a lower price point. If you are the sort of person, though, who is looking for these 2-hour experiences, like, basically, like, you're someone who's a video game short story aficionado. I came up with that term out of thin air. If you're that sort of person, I'd still say that at the $15 base price, this would be worth it. It is also current, at least for the rest of this posting week, it is on sale and has an additional PS Plus sale. I think PS Plus price is $12. And overall, I would say that on sale, you could consider it. But for the general public, this is not a game that will ever sell to the general public, ever. And even for the people who I would assume this game is targeting, I still don't think that it's a particularly good choice. In particular, though, if we want an audience that I think stands the greatest chance of enjoying this story, I would probably have to say parents. If you're a parent, take a crack at this. I think that you will have a completely different interpretation from what I have. Because I'm an only child virgin nerd. I don't really care too much about kids, to be honest. But if you're someone who cares about kids, maybe you'll have a completely different interpretation of the story from me. So TLDR to the TLDR, I like the gameplay, but it's too short. Oh shit. Another TLDR. One other point I was about to bring up. 2-hour gameplay, story about you caring about a kid. I think 2 hours is too short for that sort of story. Because, like, think about it for a second. Tearaway. Tearaway is 5 hours long. And throughout that, you are journeying with Iota. You are helping out Iota. You are doing things. You are becoming attached to Iota. This game, on the other hand, is trying to accomplish that same experience, but with less than half the amount of time spent with the character. Less than half. Again, my play time is 1 hour, 45 minutes. Honestly, I could even say that up until this point, this is the 3rd level, and I have spent less than an hour getting to this point, plus several minutes of just standing there talking, okay? So, to an extent, you could probably speed run this in about an hour, I think. And in that amount of time, is that enough time to get to attach to a character such that the conclusion of Mommy is meaningful? Because I think that the duration of the game, again, works against it. So much of the game works against its story that I'm not sure why they decided to build it this way, essentially. But okay, never mind. That was my last aside point. Finish it off. TLDR, I like the gameplay. I think the story kind of doesn't quite do it. Find it on sale, unless you're the sort of person who really likes looking for these sorts of experiences. My name has been V Sin. Thanks for watching.